With your reporting now on Newsroom Africa Channel 405 with a focus on what's happening right here in the continent. More delays have been reported in the rollout of the COVID-19 vaccines in the African continent. This after Malawi postponed its release of the second shot of the AstraZeneca vaccine. The Southern African country has pushed the rollout date back to June from May this year. A lack of information is believed to be behind the slow uptake by ordinary citizens. Many failed to be vaccinated during the country's first phase, leading to questions about government's ability to meet its target of 2.6 million people. For more on this, we're joined via the network, Malawian journalist Daniel Mababa. Daniel, good evening.
Hi, good evening, and thanks for having me.
What are the weaknesses in the system that have led to this postponement in the rollout of the second phase of the vaccine?
So there are really a number of factors, and misinformation is one of them. We still have a society that has over 60% of its population that are not able to read and write. There's so much misconception around this COVID vaccine. It came at a time there was so much misinformation around all these myths. And to a larger extent, there was a group of people in our country that really believed these myths. And so all these factors combined have really been an issue to the effect that we are having to destroy somewhere close to 19,000 doses. But the explanation we are getting is that the extension to June, or the postponement to 3rd of June for the second jab, is in a way also a blessing in disguise, as it in turn increases the efficacy to somewhere around 80%. That's the medical explanation we are getting of this extension.
Yeah. What is being done to tackle vaccine hesitancy? The WHO reporting that Malawi, where only about 1% of the population is being vaccinated at this particular point, is riddled with conspiracy theories, as you're mentioning. What is being done?
There has been a rollout of a massive awareness campaign by a state body, the Ministry of Information. They are going in communities using district health offices across the country, going to various communities with loud PA systems, announcing of the vaccine. That's one of them. But also generally, we've seen the Ministry of Information going flat out with radio and television advertisement, radio and television programming around the vaccination campaign. All this to try and coax the population and to try and increase the number of people to access the vaccine.
How detrimental was the recent announcement around AstraZeneca and the halting in the U.S. and the halting in other countries as well? How did that impact also on the hesitancy?
We saw some impact, but perhaps not so great. I would not attribute the events in Europe or South Africa recently to what has been happening in Malawi. We really had other underlying factors, and not just the suspension elsewhere. But that, in a way, was quite a blow to some extent, because look, we are saying there was already hesitancy, and now people are hearing this vaccine is being suspended elsewhere. That really was quite a blow in Malawi's efforts to vaccinate as many people as it could. But like I clearly indicated earlier, we really had other underlying factors on top of the suspension elsewhere.
The other underlying factors, of course, are that vaccine confidence goes hand in hand with vaccine equity, where there is adequate supply and people feel they have options in terms of which vaccine they can take. And what are the Malawians feeling? Do they have options at this particular point, or is AstraZeneca the only available option for them?
AstraZeneca is the only available. No options here. We are getting AstraZeneca from COVAX. We got doses donated by India, but it's really AstraZeneca for now. The explanation from experts was that this was what we could afford to manage and to preserve or to keep. Because, I mean, we have been told the other vaccines require very sophisticated machines, which we do not have here. So AstraZeneca really a suitable option given our climate, our weather, but also particularly given the finances. We do not have the finances to afford the other vaccines. You may wish to know that the first phase of the vaccine or for the first dosage, it was really a donation from under COVAX. And like I indicated, we also got doses from India. So no options yet for Malawi.
Now, reports indicating that Malawi has ordered the sugar factory to be suspended. How serious is this closure of the sugar factory, and what was the reason for it?
So the sugar factory on the shores of Lake Malawi in Salima district has been ordered to suspend production. They are still working on the farms, on the sugarcane farms, like the irrigation is still going on, but actual sugar production has been suspended for some weeks. This is because the factory had imported cases of coronavirus from some workers that had just arrived in Malawi from India, where a second wave is wreaking havoc there, like we know. And therefore, it was only concerns raised by the people and the public in Malawi when we learned that actually about 30 workers that arrived at the factory from India, a little about of them tested COVID positive, and that really raised an issue given the developments in India. And as a precaution, the government authorities, the Ministry of Trade, has ordered that production be suspended as they manage the available cases that have been isolated at the factory.
And what will be the impact of this closure of the factory on the workers in Malawi, but also the economy in Malawi?
The economy, yes, but it's only a brief closure. Suspension, maybe for a couple of weeks, yes, but they had stocks. We had been hearing from the company they had stocks to supply the market. And of course, they are not the only supplier of sugar on the Malawi market and the export market. They have another competitor who is still in production, in business. And therefore, impact, yes, but very minimal, because we are not running out of sugar anyway. We have sugar, and the confidence comes in because it's not going to be a long suspension.
All right. Let's look then at the variant scare that you mentioned earlier on. How is Malawi responding to that? Have they banned travel to India and from India?
So yes, our government has banned travel from about 5 countries, including India, following the developments from that country. It was actually a shock when we learned that there were Indians arriving in Malawi, arriving at the sugar factory, because it coincided with the ban in travel to and from India. But yes, to answer your question, travel has been banned between Malawi and India. We've got a considerable population of Indian nationals in Malawi. There were actually speculations initially when I will report to you that the very first cases of coronavirus that were reported in Malawi were actually of Indian nationals that were It was a family that had visited India back then and then was returning to Malawi. So we have quite a considerable amount of Indians that travel between Malawi and India, and hence that ban.
Yeah. Last time we spoke to you, Daniel, we were talking on the arrests on the COVID-19 corruption. Has that tally gone up?
The tally has kept increasing, but I will report to you tonight that we have actually now seen some cases being brought before court. Some individuals earlier on, late last week, were denied bail, but there is still a feeling among people in this country that, and like I told you last time, that the arrests alone are really not exciting enough. People would like to see a conclusive end to the cases, because 6.2 billion kwachas were mismanaged, and therefore, like I indicated, yes, excitement that there have been arrests, close to 50 now as I speak to you, but only a handful of those have been brought before court. Like I have said, and I'd like to repeat this, we have seen corruption cases in this country drag on for years and years. I don't think this is what Malawians would like to see. If this administration, if our courts are serious enough in tackling corruption, tackling theft of public resources, tackling maladministration, as has been the case in the plunder of these COVID funds, then culprits must be brought to book and sentenced for jail, or some of them maybe pay fines. That's the only thing Malawians are waiting for. Because look, as people plundered these COVID funds sometime around January, February, a lot, hundreds of Malawians were dying.
Daniel Mawaba, appreciate your time and thanks for that update. That's Daniel there joining us via a WhatsApp link. He's a journalist in Malawi, letting us in on the latest. Well, when we continue next, we'll hear a bit from Zimbabwe. Kholisani Ncube reporting there on the amendments to the Constitution being signed. Bill number 2 has now been signed into law. What does this mean? Remember, previously we spoke of the civil society objecting to that. Are they planning to take this to court? We get the details for you from Kholisani when we continue next. Stay with us.